So in this lesson, we're going to start taking what we learned in the last unit about integration. And what we're going to do is we're going to start applying it to some real world situations. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off by doing this using volume. So we're going to actually find the volume of some 3D figures. The first method I'm going to show you is using cross sections to find the volume of a 3D figure. Now, you're probably asking me at this moment what a cross section actually is. Well, so let me go ahead and kind of give you a very brief explanation. First and foremost, it is an intersection of a solid or a 3D figure and a plane. What that means is if you take a 3D figure and you take a flat, straight piece of plane, a flat, straight, something like a knife or a piece of paper, and you slice right through it, that shape that's left over is gonna be your cross section. So essentially what we're talking about is a slice of the 3D figure, okay? So like I said, we're talking about a slice. We are essentially cutting a 3D figure into a bunch of smaller 2D figures, 2D shapes, and if you combine all of those 2D shapes back together, if you put all the slices back together like they were originally, you're going to have that 3D shape again. Now, what you're probably thinking is that sounds like a hard definition, and it's really not. It's as easy as sliced bread, quite literally. This shape right here is a cross section of the loaf of bread. Because if you think about it, if I were to take all of the slices of bread in the bag and I put them back together, it's going to make that loaf of bread again. So this shape right here, this weird almost curved top rectangle, yeah, this is a cross section. This shape is what it looks like when you slice a loaf of bread open. I'm going to go ahead and show you a few other examples. I've got a few sitting here ready to go. Number one is I took a tomato, just a regular little itty bitty tomato, and I sliced it in half. So right there, you guys can see the cross section of what it looks like on the inside of the tomato. Now notice, in this case, I sliced it long ways. I did another one where I sliced it a little bit differently. I sliced it short ways. So there's my tomato. There's what it looks like on the inside. Notice it looks a little bit different than it did before. In this case, this is more of an oval shape, whereas this one's more of a circle. And that does kind of matter. We're going to talk more about this in a little bit. And so you guys notice how it looks a little bit differently than it did before. But here's the other thing is you don't actually have to cut it straight across. I did one where I kind of cut it diagonally just to kind of show you how it looks just even a little bit differently. Again, not straight across, just diagonally. I also did a few more. I did a strawberry. Whoop, almost dropped it. So there's what happens if you slice a strawberry down the middle, again, top to bottom. Notice again, this is not really a shape that I want to try to find the area of, whereas it might be a lot easier to, if I take my strawberry and I slice it kind of long ways, that it might be easier to calculate the area of this as opposed to that other kind of a weird shape to it, this one. Because this is more like a circle and this one kind of has a weird edge to it. So that's actually one of the things we are going to do with cross sections is we're going to find the area of the two-dimensional shape. So yes, it does matter how we cut it. It kind of makes things a little bit easier in some cases. I have a couple others sitting here ready to go. One of the other ones I brought with me was this Little Debbie Cupcake. And I wanted to show you, I've got my knife here real fast. I'm just going to kind of cut it real fast. If I cut this Little Debbie Cupcake, it's going to actually make a pretty cool cross section because if you notice, it's got that cream in the middle. But so it kind of looks a bit like a trapezoid, which is really kind of cool. Is even if I cut it somewhere else, even if I cut it in a different spot along that edge, it still comes out looking like a trapezoid. And so that's kind of the cool thing about cross sections is, again, it shows us what's going on in the middle. There's that beautiful little cream. I do have one more example. Notice these are all kind of food related. Cross sections are used a lot in the real world, even in advertising. So I have my little NutriGrain bar here, and it actually has a cross section trying to show you what the filling is on the inside. They just kind of broke it apart and showed you what it looks like, but it's another example of a great cross section. So again, cross sections are literally just slices. They're the 2D shape we get at when we cut something open. And so that's what we're going to do here is, again, we're going to use these cross sections to help us find the volume of a shape. Hopefully that helps, and we're going to do some examples in just a minute.